Councillors, hello. I would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land which we are gathered and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to the City Infrastructure Committee, dated the 29th of October. I now declare this meeting open at 10 o'clock. I'd also like to advise attendees in the room that this meeting is being webcast and audio recorded. I note that Councillor Heremiah remains on a statutory leave of absence following the state election. However, no leave of absence vote is required. I do believe Councillor Wilcox has submitted a leave of absence. Is there a mover for this motion? Councillor Hall has moved. Is there a seconder? Councillor Murphy. I now open the floor to vote. Me? That has been passed unanimous. This motion has been carried. Tim, did you vote yes? Sorry, mate. Yeah. You got me, Tim? Yeah. His vote? Yeah, he voted.
Yeah, I said I'm for. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. There is now a motion displayed on the screen to confirm the previous minutes, that the minutes of the Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 1st of October be confirmed. Do I have a mover for the motion as displayed on the screen? Councillor St Ledger, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Jackson. Do any councillors wish to speak to the motion? There being none, I now open the floor to vote. It's been carried unanimous except for Councillor Bradley. How do you vote?
Abstain, and I'd like to give a reason that I was not present.
The motion has been carried. Thank you, councillors. I now move on to declarations of conflicts of interest. Do any councillors wish to declare a conflict of interest today? There being none, I will now refer to the reports on today's agenda. We'll start off with report 6.1, the adoption of the Water Net Serve Plan Part A and Connections Policy. It's a public report, and we're looking at Mr. Ken. And your friend, what's your name, sorry? No, I know yours, brother.
Lisa Burke.
Hello, Lisa. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All yours.
Thank you. Good morning, councillors. I shall take the committee report as read. This is for the net serve plan. This is coming round second time to the council, to the committee as well as to the council. So it's gone through the rounds with the minister, and he has adopted and approved the thing. So now it needs to go through the final round with the council. As well, when you go to the 6th of November meeting, if you adopt it, we can send it to the minister, then we can publish it. Thank you.
Councillor Lane, you have a question?
Thanks very much. Through you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Ken. Hi, Lisa. How are you going? Quick question. Page 17 of the report, customer service standards. Are we meeting customer service standards at the current moment? And I know that you're in the acting position until the group manager starts, Ken, and I appreciate that your team has put in a lot of effort, but are we meeting those standards at the moment, and is there a plan forward to improve if not?
Through the chair, when I say we, the Logan City Council, Logan Water, with the existing published level of service, we are managing that one for the time being. There are places we are a bit behind, and I'm working towards to get that one rectified.
Thanks very much. I know that I've had occasions, my water infrastructure in Division 2 is quite old, so obviously breaks and ruptures in the pipe system happen, and the team that you have forward-facing, dealing with residents, are very kind and very patient, so I'd love for you to pass that feedback on, but I just do have concerns at the length of time that some things are settled, so I'd love to see an improvement when the new group manager comes on board and takes the helm over. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No more questions, councillors? There being none, there's a recommendation on the board. Give you a chance to read it. Once you've read it, if I have a mover, that'd be great. It's already moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor St Ledger. Now open the floor to vote. Tim? Yep, that's been carried unanimous, noting that the mayor's not in the room. It's been passed. Does anyone have any general business for the Group Manager of Local Water? Being none, thank you very much for all your work.
Thank you.
And good job. Yes, it is. So item 6.2, controlling access to Flindersley Riverside Park on Halcorn Way at Logan Reserve. It's a public report led by our acting road infrastructure planning manager, Miss Megan Gould. It's all yours.
Can we? I'm sorry, you've taken me by surprise. Can we please call Carl up?
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
He will be speaking to the report.
Yeah, is he here? Is Carl here now? Or?
He's just downstairs. He was waiting for me to call him. So
We're just too efficient, eh?
I know, right?
just what we
I was
do.
expecting 6.1. So I do apologise. But whilst Carl is making his way, so is someone able to do that? Is that all right? Carl Bayer? Oh, thank you.
While we're here, we might bring it forward if anyone has any. We do this at the end, but if anyone's got any GB for you, now would be a great time while we're waiting. There you go, Councillor Lane.
So last night I went to sleep and I thought, geez, I've got to do something about Railway Parade. And this morning I woke up and there's a speed hump there. So I'm super stoked that my dreams do come true. And I just want to say thanks to the team for the planning. It's taken a while to get it there, but I'd love to see speed humps littered all over my community to stop those dreadful people from other divisions coming through and clogging up my streets.
Okay. I'll pass it on.
There's only one Councillor Lane. No one else have any GB? Or did you have any GB for us that you wanted to
No,
knock
but I'm
through?
happy to start to introduce.
Yeah, fire away.
6.2, so-
Oh, we've got a GB from the director. Look out.
Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just take the opportunity to talk to the fact that Council, over the next 3 days, we're actually running a disaster simulated response within the Community Corporate and Resilience Program. So effectively standing up a simulated disaster response room where we're actually looking at an exercise to, I guess, give an opportunity for our staff who volunteer for disaster management to run through a scenario in a non-threatening manner, in a circumstance where the consequences aren't so significant. It's a significant undertaking for Council. We've actually got representatives from agencies across all of state government, from Powerlink to the police to the fire police, etc., all actually participating in that event. So if you see a lot of those people around over the next couple of days, that's why they're here, and is a significant undertaking on our preparedness program for disaster management for Council. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions relating to that? None? I think it's awesome that proactive, not reactive. When emergency services, we're always taught to be proactive, not reactive, because once it's happened, it opens up the floodgates. No pun intended. Did you want to start the report off?
thank you. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for looking a bit disorganised. So this report responds to a request that was made, or a council resolution, on the 15th of August 2024, as follows: that the Director, Transport Services, be requested to present a report to a future City Infrastructure Committee meeting on the process, viability and options available to control access on the road neighbouring Flinders Riverside Park in Logan Reserve. And literally Carl is walking in as we speak, so Carl Bayer, Traffic Program Leader, will respond to the request and present the report.
Good morning, Carl. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, thank you, Chair.
All yours.
Okay, so appreciate the opportunity to share this report about Flinders Riverside Park proposed gate on Halcyon Way, Logan Reserve. The request for the report came through in August this year, and prior to that we've been communicating with Councillor Harrimeyer. Is he not? No?
Councillor Harrimeyer is still on leave from the state election.
Councillor Harrimeyer regarding a proposal for a gate and whether it's possible, the feasibility, options for it and things like that. It's also related to the park curfews that have been implemented there. And so this all came about since the development occurred in that area. So Halcyon Way is a public road accessing both Halcyon Rise, Halcyon Rise gated community and the Arc Care aged care community either side of Halcyon Way, and then the road's being continued into the park in Flinders Bay Riverside Park. This was done as part of a development condition. Concerns were raised by the Halcyon Rise community regarding the potential misuse of that road, antisocial behaviour, and also the park once the road was actually opened to the public. Those concerns were raised mainly through Parks Branch, who communicated with the community, agreed to look into park curfews as well as consider controlling the access to the park road once the road was actually opened. So what has actually transpired is Parks has gone ahead and implemented a park curfew, which appears to have been fairly effective in stemming any activity in the park after hours. That park curfew is, I believe it's 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. every day. It has been patrolled by by Parks rangers, I believe. There hasn't been very much antisocial behaviour. I think the only reports we've had of any vehicles going down there were when the road was first opened, but since then there hasn't been any reports of any cars going down there, and if they haven't been really noticed. Of those vehicles that were first noticed, I believe it was probably the park ranger was a couple of those vehicle movements as well. So there was probably a bit of loud noise at one stage reported because someone wasn't actually able to access the toilets there because they found there was a park curfew and the toilets were locked. So, but anyway, since then nothing's really happened down that way. The park curfew seems to have been effective in reducing the amount of activity there after hours. However, we have pursued the viability of a gate, and I presented that in the report. You not only have to implement a gate, but you also have to provide a turnaround at the gate if the gate's closed. So all that adds up to the cost. I haven't done any firm cost estimates, but we anticipate it would be in the order of 100,000 or even more than that just for implementing the gate, because you have to build a turnaround, and potentially would have to also provide a security camera to make sure that people didn't vandalise the gate. Security cameras on their own have been reported through a previous Parks memo. They estimated for the park itself to put in CCTV was going to cost in excess of $110,000 or thereabouts. So if you add that to the cost of the gate as well, it's pretty well adding up. However, we believe that the current curfew is actually just as effective, and if anything, we could possibly supplement that curfew by putting no stopping parking restrictions along the road, so that no one can actually legally park there after hours as well, because the current curfew only applies to the park, but you could actually prevent people from legally parking there, and then I guess they run the risk of getting fined. Not that you're probably going to have anyone patrolling that area with one of our parking vehicles, but at that time of night. But anyway, that's just another deterrent. All in all, I think we just continue to monitor the situation. There's no need for gates at this point in time. If anything, I would propose that we pursue the CCTV, CitySafe cameras, just to further deter any antisocial behaviour in there. And if it did happen, we could actually see what's going on and see whether a gate would actually be effective in addressing those issues. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bale. I'll kick off. If you as soon as you put that turnaround bay around. Turnaround bay, Leonor Park's going to guaranteed you're going to have a burnout problem straight away. So I think, yeah, I agree with you. Putting a turnaround bay beside a park is a bad idea because and Councillor Heremai will be back in a couple of weeks. So I guess you could talk to him later on about the parking issues and stuff and the no parking signs because obviously that would be funded, I guess, through the LIP program. Councillor Lane?
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. In reading this, I think it's a good report. I think it covers a lot of things, but what confuses me the most, I suppose, is the incidents were so low, but we've put an option for option 3 and option 4, which is quite expensive. I'm happy to, put my hand up to note that the report be noted, but I don't feel like I can do it with option 3 and option 4 in the report. I think that's a bit of an over thing, and it probably pushes the divisional councillor into spending money that they might not want to prioritise. That's just my view, but anyway.
Okay, Director, sorry. Just gave you pay rise.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Councillor Lane, I understand, I guess, that component of that. Probably the difficulty for the officers in putting it together is the request which was actually passed in GB actually requested that we actually look at the option to close the road and provide those options in the report. So certainly the report as written isn't proposing that we do those actions. It's only outlining the viability of what could be done if that was so chosen. The works as we see them in there are not under a funded program of council. It would be with the divisional councillor to consider those works under LIP for any progression, but we would certainly, as outlined in the report, be suggesting that we think that that's not required at this point in time.
Thanks. I just didn't want to wedge someone into doing something while they're not here to actually speak to it.
We would certainly agree that we're not pursuing that with the councillor on his return. We would be running with the position that those things we believe are not warranted. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Great question. Councillor Bradley.
Thank you. As the report recommendation is for it to be noted, and the divisional councillor is not here, he's on leave, I'm happy to leave it up to him and move the report.
Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, I think it's my question's been answered, but just to clarify that accepting the report being noted doesn't action anything. It just receives the report as information, and then it'll go back to the councillor to carry on. Thank you.
No more questions? Being no more questions, there'll be a recommendation on the screen soon. Councillor Bradley's already moved, so when we're ready, if someone would like to second it. Councillor Russell, thank you. So now we'll open the floor to vote. That's been carried unanimously, so thank you. We've already done your GB. That's how efficient we are. So we're going to move on to item 6.3, which is a confidential report about the proposed acquisition of land in Logan Village. Better put my glasses on. Noting that 6.3 is confidential, a proposed resolution to move this matter is displayed on the screen. You good? Do any councillors wish to move into the closed session for this item? Councillor Lane has moved the motion, seconded by Councillor Jackson. I will now open the floor to vote. It's been passed unanimous. The motion has been carried. The meeting is now closed to the public. Session and live stream has commenced. There's a recommendation on the board. Take your time to read it, and when you're happy, we're going to table the PowerPoint. Sorry, do I have a mover to table the PowerPoint? Councillor Hall. Do I have a seconder? Mayor Raven. Open the floor to vote. Good. That's been carried. Now we have a motion on the recommendation on the board. So when you take the time to read it, if I can have a mover. Anyone would like, Councillor Hall would like to move it. Seconded by Mayor Raven. I now open the floor to vote. All those in favour? That has been carried. Thank you. Thank you for all your help, team. That concludes the agenda for today. Does anyone have any general business? Oh, 6.4. I haven't got 6.4. Oh. I knew you had to turn the page, Mr. Raven. I know. I almost cut you short, Megan. Item 6.4, the Master Drainage Statement of Intents, a public report led by Ms. Megan Gould.
Thank you very much. I'll invite Kylie Drapala, Program Leader, River and Catchment Engineering, to join me for questions afterwards. So essentially, the purpose of this report is to seek endorsement of the 2024 Master Drainage Statement of Intent, which will replace the current 2014 Statement of Intent. I am going to spend a few minutes explaining the report, if that's okay. There's a little bit of content in there. So the 2024 Statement of Intent includes 3 sub-programs, essentially. There's the Master Drainage Statement of Intent projects, as we've come to expect from the existing SOI. and that incorporates the current 2014 projects that are outstanding. But we've included 2 additional line items which I will explain. So one being a catchment planning or catchment master plan line item, and another one known as the emergent works line item, and I will explain both of those. The other change is that the 2024 SOI supports a move to a 2-stage framework. So instead of diving in and looking at a particular location of interest in detail and trying to resolve stormwater flood risk at that location, we'd like to first undertake a catchment-wide assessment to really understand the opportunities and constraints within the catchment, and potentially there's opportunity to resolve a matter further away from the actual location of interest. And again, I'll come back to that in a little bit more detail. Over time, as we deliver these catchment master plans, the intention is that each of those will identify new projects, which will then get endorsed into the following statement of intent. So it will be a more dynamic and evolving list of projects. So currently, our stormwater management programs that we do have, just to provide some context, we have maintenance looked after by RCM, and that's things like removal of blockages from our stormwater network. Stormwater rehabilitation, and the focus on that is really our asset renewal and asset life cycle, so ensuring that we maintain the assets that we have. So if there's a damage or failure, it looks to replace those assets. And then we have the master drainage, which is our larger scale augmentation of the overall stormwater drainage network. And that's to try and get the network to meet our current standards of service, design standards of service. Often our new development areas will deliver stormwater infrastructure in our new emerging areas, and so our master drainage projects tend to be in those existing older areas where growth and evolution of the catchment has changed the conditions, and we're now trying to get the network to perform to current standards. The current SOI, the 2014 one, was endorsed in 2014, as I said. It was based on many stormwater investigations that had occurred in almost the preceding decades, actually. There were some quite aged investigations. There was community complaints that had come out of particular stormwater events. And so all of that information was compiled. Some desktop analysis was done. Some cost-benefit analysis was done, and that informed the 2014 Statement of Intent. There were 89 projects, which included stage projects. So the likes of Woodlands and Rochedale, it's a large project, so it was divided up into stages. And to date, 46 of those projects have been designed and 36 have been constructed, which is a positive outcome for 10 years worth of delivery under that program. There is a minor correction to the report. 43 remain outstanding on that SOI. So we consider it was time to review the SOI. The catchment conditions have changed. We continue to infill with development and change the runoff conditions, but also best practice stormwater management has changed, and so we want to ensure that our SOI is responding to that best practice. Another driver for revisiting the SOI is that we now have citywide consistent overland flow modelling, and although it's not the be and end all of understanding stormwater flood risk, it certainly gives us a good basis for being able to look citywide and really identify those high risk locations rather than just responding to flood events and the problems that we actually observe. And there is potential out of this new framework to really contribute to some of our other corporate goals in public amenity, public health, ecosystem health, and so forth. And an example of that is naturalisation projects. So if there was potential to align our stormwater flood risk mitigation with naturalisation, then there's multiple benefits from a single project. We're looking from this new sort of two-stage framework to really tap into those opportunities, but also obviously continue to deliver our traditional pipeline augmentation and the standard responses that we'd expect for master drainage. So the 2024 Statement of Intent incorporates those outstanding 2014 projects, but we have expanded the criteria and reprioritised those projects. So rather than just focusing on risk to property, which was the primary focus of the SOI, we've expanded it to look at road trafficability risk and also public safety risk. So it is often intended that our parks and our open spaces will form a part of our stormwater network. During extreme rainfall events, they will provide temporary flood storage or overland flow paths. But good practice planning and design would look to limit the level of hazard that's posed. There might be passive barriers as part of the design of that open area, and you might keep that floodway separate from play areas and main thoroughfares. As I said, so the new framework that we're putting forward incorporates the delivery of catchment master plans. And so the idea is that we look for opportunities and constraints within the catchment which might resolve flooding at particular locations. So the intention is that each year, in parallel with delivering scoping briefs for our statement of intent projects, we would also be delivering these catchment master plans, 1 or 2, depending on how big they are. And from those, we would identify particular projects. We would come back to council with an amended statement of intent and bring those new projects into it. Once they've been included in the statement of intent, we then undertake the concept design and provide them to RID for delivery. And the idea of the catchment master plan is to really understand some of the constraints. So, for example, if we're augmenting our pipe network upstream in a catchment, there is actually potential that we change the runoff characteristics through a park and create hazardous conditions down there. Additionally, if we're trying to augment or add extra pipes, there can be a lot of constraints with major services, existing housing, of course. So it's really to try and understand at a broader level what some of those constraints are so that we can find the most efficient way to resolve a particular issue. And with regards to opportunities, we have many other programs that we could potentially co-deliver with. So, for example, our LGIP trunk requirements, planned road upgrades might actually offer some opportunity for detention behind the road. Parks Works, if we can co-deliver with a park planning project, we might be able to actually incorporate some temporary flood storage in there. And even beyond that, working with our land use planning partners to identify locations where perhaps some infill development might be encouraged, and that encouragement might actually be through the delivery of a naturalisation project or something that creates amenity that would help attract to that location. So going forward, the cost-benefit prioritisation will be further developed to try and bring in some of these other factors which might influence the priority of a master drainage project. So, for example, the co-delivery with another opportunity, or the ability to meet broader corporate objectives. And so we are working at the moment on a technical manual which will support this process. If this is endorsed, the new methodology, the new statement of intent, we will start to deliver those outstanding projects. At the same time, we'll deliver a master plan and finalise the manual. Next time we come back to you, we will have new projects to add into the SOI, but also an expanded set of criteria for bringing in those projects and prioritising those projects. So because of that, it does mean that we perhaps need to shift our thinking a little bit, and the SOI will become more dynamic. So rather than starting with the full list of projects with a priority and we set to proceed through those over the following 10 years or 15 years, we are looking for a more dynamic and agile SOI process. We will be coming back to you more frequently so that we can try and tap into these opportunities, these co-delivery opportunities. And to give an example of that, there might be a natural hazard resilience fund that becomes available. We might be able to partner with our parks branch and meet criteria that talks about greening the space, creating an open waterway that helps with cooling, flood mitigation to address climate change. And so we can wrap all that up into one application, hopefully receive some funding, and then deliver a parks project, which also coincides with the master drainage project. Again, just to point out, this is an opportunity we're creating. We're not envisaging that all projects will be delivered in this way. There will most definitely be traditional augmentation of the pipe network, pits and pipes, but we're just trying to set up a framework that will support these opportunities. The other big change for the new statement of intent is a new category that we're introducing called the emergent works. As I explained before, we have our stormwater rehab program, which is all about looking after the assets that we have. So it's not about delivering new assets. We have our master drainage program, which tends to be, due to the prioritisation of the projects, we're obviously trying to deliver those projects that reduce flood risk from the most properties. So they tend to be big projects. And so unfortunately, sometimes we have these smaller projects that don't meet either criteria, but we still identify a need to deliver. It might be a smaller augmentation. It might be an additional pit and pipe to address flood risk for one or two properties. So the emergent works sub-program will have an allocated annual budget that we can use to respond quickly to some of these emerging projects. They'll be prioritised based on risk to persons, so safety risk, risk to property, or perhaps disruption to community. So, for example, access to a community centre. What we're requesting is that the roads group management team, led by, in this instance, Road Infrastructure Delivery, would have the delegated authority to bring those new projects into that emergent works program so that we can respond to them in a timely way. Sorry, just checking my notes. So if this new statement of intent is endorsed, the next step would be that we have identified a list of projects that we do think would qualify for the emergent works. We would prioritise those projects, provide them to the roads group management team for approval of that list. That would become the official list of emergent works projects to be funded from that allocation. That list would be available at any time upon request. So in summary, we believe that the new framework will continue to prioritise and resolve above floor flooding of private property. That has been the main focus of that program, and obviously is retained as the primary focus of the program. But we're looking to expand this current list of projects to incorporate also reducing traffic hazard on roads and also hazardous conditions in public open spaces. We think that the new framework just provides some greater flexibility to resolve stormwater risk by considering other opportunities within the catchment, and really is driving us to be more collaborative with our other branches and look for those efficiencies that can be gained by delivering projects together and potentially seeking funding together. And so as part of this, we will be actively reaching out to our other other branches to understand their capital programs and where they might align. Okay, open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Good. Really well explained too, especially the part with the parks and that. It was really good, the way you're going to work in with them and being flexible. So, yeah, awesome job. Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair, through you. Megan, I love when you present to council because your enthusiasm is absolutely amazing. I can tell that you and your team work hard to actually bring a positive outlook on everything that you do. And I really appreciate listening to you when you're addressing issues. Also appreciate the fact that Division 2 is one of the major beneficiaries out of this report. That makes me feel really good about it. But I would like to say that, you know, when we talk about Stephen and his team, we had Karawatha Forest Protection Society come in and say they had concerns with the stormwater that was being released into the waterways of Karawatha, and his team actually proactively went out there and put the pool bin in so it captures the rubbish and the excess silt before it makes it into those waterways. So when you're talking so positively about opportunities, that just sings to my soul, because I think if you're looking at every opportunity, we're going to do right by residents. So thanks very much for this report.
Councillor Stepp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that, Megan. Look, you answered a lot of my questions already. I just want to mention that I'm really looking forward to hearing more about the drain naturalisation projects, and obviously I'm pleased that the risk matrix has been updated to, enable parks and so forth. Just with the emergent works, obviously, will there be a budget each year for those sorts of things? And how, if something's on the list, what kind of time frame are we looking at? Is it something that's going to be delivered hopefully quite quickly over a couple of years, or how do we sort of know if there's a project obviously out there as to how long it's likely to take to deliver?
Yeah, sure. Through the chair. So the intention is to have an allocated budget out of the overall master drainage budget each year. So we've nominated 600,000 in the report. If that's not required, it would just move back to the main master drainage budget. With regards to each project, it will be case by case. Some will require, because of safety risks or risk to property, a more timely response, and so there will be this prioritisation process that will need to look at that. Some will still need to go through a full design process with RID, and so it will just be down to us maintaining communication with the relevant councillor for each individual project.
That's great, and obviously there'll be that list which will obviously get updated because there'll be emerging projects all the time, won't there? So it'll kind of they'll move around a little bit more so they would as part of the master drainage. So,
and by nature they'll generally be smaller than a full-blown master drainage project.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, through the chair. Music to my ears. You're talking about naturalisation of waterways, working with other departments. Like, I've been banging on about this for years, and the director may very well remember coming out to Division 1, and I said I would love this area to be naturalised, and as an engineer I think I got a no. So, but anyway, so this is really lovely to hear, and I'm happy to move the report when the time comes.
If I may just provide some caution to that, we love naturalisation projects. They are difficult to deliver and they do come with a lot of constraints. So there's certain locations where we think there's opportunity. Unfortunately, they don't fit everywhere, but certainly something that we'd look for opportunity to do.
Any more questions at all, councillors? There being none, there's a recommendation on the board. Councillor Bradley's already moved it, seconded by Councillor Lane. Open the floor to vote. You slam that one home, that's unanimous. It has been moved. Thank you so much. Big committee did an awesome job. Now that concludes the agenda for today. Does anyone have any general business for Mr. Darryl Riley? None at all. Oh, hang on. Darryl Riley has some for us. Yeah. You don't have to stay with
Through you, Mr. Chair, probably just to give a bit of a heads up that we are trying to work through the statements of intent, so bringing those back to council and progressively working through those. The next one that we're looking to bring back is our pavement rehabilitation program. We are finalising work up on that at the moment. I'm optimistic that we might get that to you before Christmas, which I think we've got only one more round left to achieve that within. So I'll send some information around in regards to that and we can progress those through as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Now I can declare that the infrastructure meeting on the 29th of October concluded at 11:18 with the governance with the wonderful Karen Murphy, Councillor Karen Murphy, at 11:28.